there would come a moment when I would relax a little, and suddenly I'd say, oh, look at that. And I would make a picture that made me happy. I have a picture of myself holding a box brownie when I was 12 or 13 years old. And I remember very well going to downtown Chicago with that box brownie and taking a roll of film. And only, 100 years later do I realize that it wasn't the kind of pictures most people made, which are generally speaking snapshots of their friends, but rather the very first pictures I ever made were train tracks of the Illinois Central Railroad. When I turned 17 or 18, I got an Argus C3, an early kind of boxy little post-war 35 millimeter camera, and I started to take pictures with it. And I quickly realized I didn't know enough. And at the same time, I would go and photograph down on Wells Street and things like that. But I didn't know. I didn't know there were street photographers. I didn't know there was a place to do anything with pictures like that. I just knew that those pictures interested me, so I made them.
What do you need tomorrow?
Well, just because I don't think I think the light's gone, and,
What are you actually trying to get, the effect?
When you photograph people, you generally have a very limited amount of time. If you're doing a portrait of somebody, you walk in and maybe you get a little time to survey the place and think about how you want to shoot it. Maybe you set up a light if you're doing that. But then you have to make pictures, and you've got somebody's attention for 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour, and then it's very difficult to continue on past that. It's not impossible, but, the luxury, the beauty of shooting this place has been that I could come here day after day. I could walk around. Some days I could be inspired, and some days I could just be shooting because I had come to shoot. And either way, the building was there the next day. And then the building began to reveal itself, because when you stay in a place for a while, the sun changes. And as the sun began to change, and as I began to see it at different times a day, I would revisit the same angle, the same place that I had photographed before. And it was different. And maybe I was seeing it differently. Maybe after having seen the building for several months, my reaction to the same spaces was coming alive again. I've never had this experience before. I've spent my life photographing, as most people do, in short bursts. And to be able to kind of wake up every week and come back and revisit the same large, complex space, it's been a wonderful thing.